I would like to thank Alana Berries for sending me this story. And before I get into the article itself, I'm going to play this audio right quick. And I want you to listen very closely to what was said. If you don't understand what she said, maybe because of the quality, then I'll explain it later. Okay. So there you heard the clip. It was very short, but the reason why you probably couldn't hear it is because it was outside and you probably heard a train horn in the background. But this woman, her name is Cindy Hyde Smith, and she is a senator from Mississippi, and she's a Republican. So what came out of her mouth did not surprise me whatsoever. This woman was speaking to someone, I guess at one of her events, because I guess she's running for some kind of a position. And she said, if he were to invite me to a public hanging, I would not, she said I'd be on the front row. Now, we all know what she was talking about when she said that. Of course, she probably would be one of the ones that say that it was taken out of context or anything of that nature. But she's not even saying that. She didn't even apologize for what she said. And you know what? I'm glad that she didn't, because I would not have accepted her apology, and I wouldn't have seen it as a genuine apology whatsoever. These are the kind of people that I prefer out in the open. I like my races to be overt and not covert. I want them out in the open so I know who they are, just in case I happen to bump into one, and act accordingly. Now let me go ahead and read the article, because then it's going to go into a little bit more detail. It says, Mississippi Senator Cindy Hyde Smith doesn't want to talk about the video showing her praising someone by saying, if he invited me to a public hanging, I'd be on the front row, and she isn't apologizing for it. The white Republican, who faces a black Democratic challenger in a November 27th runoff, said Sunday that her November 2nd remark was exaggerated expression of regard, basically taken out of context, for someone who invited her to speak, and in any attempt to turn this into a negative connotation is ridiculous. Hyde Smith issued a statement Sunday explaining but not apologizing for her comments. I referred to accepting an invitation to a speaking engagement, said Hyde Smith, who is also a cattle rancher, in a statement Sunday. In referencing the one who invited me, I use an exaggerated expression of regard, and any attempt to turn this into a negative connotation is ridiculous. Hyde Smith accepted the endorsement of the National Right to Life president Monday, and reporters repeatedly asked her to explain her comment. She repeatedly declined to discuss the matter further, saying she had issued a statement, and we stand by that statement. The fact that she's not explaining it lets us know that she meant what she said. We know she meant what the hell she said. We know what she said. She knows what she said, but she's not going to say anything because she knows it's going to further incriminate her. That's why she's not apologizing for it, because she knows that then she'll have to constantly double down on her responses every single time. Mississippi has historically racial motivated lynchings of black people. That is definitely the truth. According to the NAACP website, between 1882 and 1968, there were 4,743 lynchings in the U.S., and nearly 73% of the victims were black. Mississippi had 581 during that time, the highest number of any state. Hyde Smith is challenged by former Congressman and former U.S. Agriculture Secretary Mike Espy. Cindy Hyde Smith's comments are reprehensible, Espy campaign spokesman Danny Blanton said in a statement Sunday. They have no place in our political discourse in Mississippi or our country. We need leaders, not dividers, and her words show that she lacks the understanding and judgment to represent the people of our state. The video was shot in Tupelo in front of a statue of Elvis Presley, who was born in the city of northeastern Mississippi. Elvis Presley, of all people, one of the biggest culture vultures that ever walked this earth. It shows a small group of white people clapping politely for Hyde Smith after a cattle rancher introduced her. Hyde Smith and Espy each received about 41% of the vote in a four-person race Tuesday to advance the runoff. The winner gets the final 2 years of a term started by longtime Republican Senator Thad Cochran. Republican Governor Phil Bryant appointed Hyde Smith to temporarily succeed Cochran, who retired amid health concerns in April. She will serve until the special election is resolved. Espy in 1986 became the first African American since Reconstruction to win a U.S. House seat in Mississippi, and if he defeats Hyde Smith, he will be the first African American since Reconstruction to represent the state in the U.S. Senate. Hyde Smith, who was endorsed by 45, not surprising, is the first woman to represent Mississippi in either chamber of Congress, and after being appointed is trying to become the first woman elected to the U.S. Senate from the state. Lamar White Jr., publisher of a left-leaning Louisiana news site called the Bayou Brief, tweeted the video on Sunday. White told the Associated Press he received the video late Saturday from a very reliable, trusted source, but he would not reveal the source's name. He said the source received it from a person who shot the video. White said he believes he received the video because he has been writing about racism in the South for about a dozen years. There's no excuse to say what she said. The National NAACP president Derek Johnson, who was from Mississippi, tweeted Sunday that Hyde Smith's shameful remarks prove once again how Trump has created a climate that normalizes hateful, racist rhetoric from political candidates. A Republican activist who initially supported another candidate in the special U.S. Senate election said he will vote for Hyde Smith in the runoff, even though he considers her a weak candidate. That's called being on cold, ladies and gentlemen. That comment about a public hanging is much ado about nothing, said Scott Brewster of Brandon, who is white. She's not very smart and made a tone-deaf comment. It doesn't make her a racist. Then why would you... Again, being on code, ladies and gentlemen. A Republican lawmaker in Mississippi, Representative Carl Oliver, came under sharp criticism in May 2017 after he posted on Facebook that people should be lynched for removing Confederate monuments. I remember when all of that stuff was going down. They was mad about that, mad about some damn statues. But anyway, what she said was racist. We know that it's racist. They know that it's racist. The fact that that guy even said that, what he said, and then try to cover it up by saying it wasn't racist, he knows it was racist too. But they're being on code because they have to cover up for her, because they have to ensure that she wins. If it wasn't any other way, then, you know, if they didn't like her, or if she was one of them Me Too chicks, they would have threw her under the bus probably. But the fact of the matter is, what she said was extremely racist, and that's all there is to it. I don't care if they try to say, oh, it was used out of context or used in context. That's their new go-to thing when they get called to the carpet. That's their new thing, and we as black people have to call it out and push back against them when they try to use that that connotation. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be in the description. I'll talk to you in the next one.